Hello, you're listening to Hugo Talks. Australia. Australia is going full-on prison planet mode. As I've said before on here, Australia is one of the countries that has been following the zero COVID strategy for months, which to most people sounds like an excuse to keep restrictions no matter what. Other countries that have been following this strategy are Ireland and New Zealand. And what you have seen in these countries are lockdowns, restrictions, regulations, all with a background of data and figures over the last year that are very low in numbers, in cases, etc. And then what usually happens is as soon as a couple of people test positive, then it kicks into full-on panic mode, usually presented through the media, bombarded through the news at the public, and the government then start locking down and carrying on like they are now in Australia. And as you can see here, they are saying things like, this is literally a war. Now, a lot of these countries, I've seen this before, using the term war, the war on COVID, or we are at war. And when you see, it's strange, isn't it? When you see the damage being done by the lockdowns, by the restrictions, you've got to ask, who exactly are we at war with? Who exactly are they at war with? And what we are seeing is full-on crazy restrictions and fines. In the clip you're about to see, we hear about $5,000 fines just being pulled out of a hat for anything, basically. And also, interestingly, this has all increased massively since the recent protests, which were by far the biggest protests in Australia so far. When you look at these clips, it looks and sounds like a full-blown totalitarian dictatorship in Australia. And again, like I said last year, it is the compliance over the last year with many of the regulations that were being pushed on people. And at times over the last year, when there was barely no cases to speak of, yet restrictions were adhered to and not questioned. If you look at New South Wales, between the end of January and to May, there was something like only 30 cases reported in those 4 to 5 months. Only 30 cases, yet so many of the restrictions were still in place. Why? And why did people accept this? Here are the clips.
Round to Parramatta, life is getting tougher with harsher restrictions. A large-scale police operation is underway and officers have significant new powers to even shut down businesses. It's been a difficult day for all of us, with the ATF now called in. Ursula Hager begins our coverage.
Macquarie Mall in Liverpool, normally a bustling, busy place filled with shoppers, today packed with police, and it's only a taste of what's to come.
It only takes a handful of people or a very small percentage to do the wrong thing to cause a setback for all of us, and we can't afford setbacks.
New police powers have now been granted. Thousands will be deployed to shut down businesses, construction and public premises where anyone is caught breaking the rules. And now 300 military personnel will be brought in to assist.
It will take it to those businesses that are breaching the health orders, and it will take it back to the homes that are continuing to breach the health orders that are putting us into an extended lockdown.
New rules will also be enforced from 1 minute past midnight. The 8 local government areas will now be required to wear masks outdoors, and residents won't be allowed to go beyond a 5-kilometre limit of their house for shopping, exercise and for those in singles bubbles. But not all the high-risk areas have high cases. The most are in Canterbury Bankstown with 53, Fairfield had 45, Liverpool 32, Cumberland 30, Blacktown 17, Campbelltown 12, while Parramatta had just 7 and Georges River only recorded 3.
Government areas, including deployment of specialised commands and including riot squad, highway patrol and increased presence more broadly. From Monday, there'll be 500 extra Australian Defence officers on the ground as well, following a request by New South Wales Police. There'll be enhanced random checkpoints at key roads with accompanying electronic warning signs so that police have every ability with that increased presence to clamp down on people doing the wrong thing. From Monday, the health orders will be formally enforced from midnight. However, between now and then, police will still be able to impose these additional fines, even though the health orders kick in on Monday morning after midnight. Between now and then, if police have evidence that you're doing the wrong thing in any of these categories, these additional fines will apply. So $5,000 for on-the-spot breach of home quarantine, which is currently $1,000. $5,000 on the spot for lying on a permit, which is already a criminal offence. $5,000 on the spot fine for lying to a contact tracer, which is already a criminal offence. $3,000 on the spot fine for breaching the two-person exercise rule in any way. $3,000 on the spot fine for breaching rules going into regional New South Wales. In Greater Sydney and other lockdown areas, but not the local government areas of concern, the 10-kilometre rule will come down to 5 kilometres. So you can obviously do activity within your local government area, but instead of 10 kilometres from your home, it will be 5 kilometres from your home, and that's for all of Greater Sydney. All those areas which aren't the local government areas of concern will now have imposed on them the 5 kilometres instead of the 10 kilometres. In affected local government areas, we want to stress that exercise means only exercise and supervision of children. So the word recreation will not leave any doubt. That word is taken out in terms of those local government areas of concern. Exercise means exercise. Many people know that, but unfortunately some people were trying to get around the rules that were imposed. In affected local government areas, you will need to register your single buddy to make sure that people aren't abusing that rule. And also, importantly, for regional New South Wales, you will need a permit.
Okay, so if you are in Australia, let us know what is going on over there. What are the general public like, for instance? Is it similar to the UK? Are the majority of the public, are they spellbound by the fear propaganda in the media? Are they unquestioningly following the rules? Are the Australian authorities following up with their threats? I think if I remember correctly, very much like the UK, many of the fines that were imposed in Australia that were given out, say last year, they were waived. They were thrown out because they were basically unlawful and go against human rights. And they will most likely be dropped if they are contested. So anyhow, let us know in the comments what is going on over there. As always, thanks for listening. Come and subscribe to the tribe at hugotalks.com, a place for like-minded souls who don't follow the fake stream media.